Before we begin, what city and time are you watching from? Drop it below, then buckle up. They called it a demonstration, but everyone knew it was a warning. On Tuesdays, the Zenith Academy's amphitheater smelled like ionized dust and anxious pride, polished boots, polished doctrine. Commander Hesh stood at the lectern with a laser pointer and the patience of a guillotine. Behind him, the wall screens rolled siege footage on mute, composite armor blooming, tracer fire stitching across vacuum like sewing needles through silk. It was a lesson about fear as a tactical instrument. Then the freight doors at the rear groaned open, and fear rolled in on mag wheels. The cage was a 2-ton hex of black lattice, humming with containment fields. Inside, something vast paced in short, unnatural arcs, claws clicking once per circuit like a metronome for panic. The beast's hide was slate and oil slick, patterned with scars that looked unhealed on purpose. Its eyes were lambent gold. Its breath fogged through vapor ports, tasting the room. No one breathed. Even the Academy AI throttled ambient fans to stillness. "Cadets," Hesh said, voice clipped, inhaling authority, "observe a captive Vorith exemplar, gene warfare remnant from the border fires. This is what undisciplined enemies feel when they have no honor left. This is what you will command your troops to kill." The cage rolled another meter. The thing inside turned its head. The amphitheater was tiered in rings, 600 bodies in gray, and one thread of midnight blue at row 9, seat delta. She hadn't meant to stand out, she never did. But the beast's gaze, bright and glassy as molten metal, climbed the tiers, past whispering antennae and flaring gill slits, past chitin and crystal, past the humans pretending to be bored and the aliens pretending not to be afraid, until it found her. Vel Merrin didn't blink. She was slight for a human, not fragile. The kind of slight earned from running not to escape, but to arrive first. Her hair was tied back like a threat disguised as neatness. Her transcript said diplomat in training. Her eyes said she had read the parts of history that were burned before publication. The beast stared at Vel. Its pacing stopped mid-step, as if a wire had tightened around the world. The containment field throbbed once, reacting to a surge of something the sensors didn't understand. Hesh's jaw flexed. "Do not anthropomorphize," he warned. "Predators simulate recognition to manipulate prey responses." Chew. He aimed the laser dot at Vel's chest. "A red coin will remain seated." Vel didn't move. She didn't nod. She didn't smile. She did the worst thing a predator can witness. She understood. The handler unit, 3 armored staffers and 1 Saurian sergeant with a tail like a falling whip, locked the cage in place and set the projection to non-audio. The screen behind Hesh lit an anatomy overlay, venom sacs, secondary lungs, an organ labeled unknown function, dotted with red caution glyphs. The sergeant wrapped the cage. The beast flinched but didn't look away from Vel. It lowered its head, throat trembling. The Academy AI pinged Commander Hesh privately. He grimaced, then cleared his throat. "Demonstration will proceed, Cadet Merrin." Eyes to the front. When she didn't, he stepped off the lectern and made it personal. "Cadet," Vel spoke for the first time. "What did you do to it?" The room inhaled as one. Hesh halted. "Excuse me." Vel's voice didn't rise, but the amphitheater leaned to hear it. "You said exemplar. That means this isn't a feral. It's been processed. The scars are surgical. They don't line up with combat vectors. You broke something you didn't understand and put it in a box so it would be easier to explain." A laugh, brave, foolish, escaped someone in the upper tiers and died on contact with Hesh's stare. The Saurian sergeant's crest flattened. "Silence in the hall," he hissed, consonants scraping like knives. The beast made a sound then. Not a growl exactly. It pressed its muzzle to the lattice and exhaled against the field, rippling blue. Scribes in the front row ducked as if breath could be a projectile. The mag wheels creaked. The handler tapped a code to increase damping. The hum deepened. The lights flickered once, twice. The Academy AI throttled up again without being asked. "Observe, cadets," Hesh said, seizing control with his voice. the illusion of petition. It mimics supplication to trigger empathy. He gestured at Vel with an open palm. You are being targeted. It's not mimicking, Vel said, and finally stood. Her knees didn't wobble. It's asking. No one told her to sit. Protocol knew when it was outgunned. The Saurian sergeant slid between Vel and the aisle, a muscle with a badge. Cadet remained seated, he repeated, not looking at her, eyes on the beast. She kept her hands visible, palms open, fingers unthreatening. The beast mirrored her without meaning to, spreading its talons against the lattice. Its throat clicked twice, a subharmonic pulse like a name trying to remember itself. The AI took that tone and ran it through 3,000 comparative matrices. The result crawled across the lecturer's monitor in amber, possible human infant-directed frequency mimic. Hesh closed the pop-up with a twitch. Vel's voice gentled. Who taught you to beg? The beast blinked. Behind its eyes, something old and wounded turned toward her like a door on rusty hinges. Commander Hesh banged the rail. This lesson is about control. The Vorith only understands dominance. He tapped his wrist plate. The field flared. Pain patterned across the beast's hide like lightning under skin. It didn't roar. It didn't lunge. It lowered itself. Every cadet could feel the doctrine settling on their tongues like metal. Force works. Pain persuades. Boxes save lives. Vel swallowed. Permission to approach the exhibit, sir. The word exhibit landed like a challenge. Hesh's lips thinned to a line. Denied. Then permission to address it from my current position. Hesh considered the room, the cameras, the board who would scrub this recording later, and still hear what he chose next. 2 sentences, he said. For instructional purposes. Vel faced the cage without breaking eye contact. The world felt like it had narrowed to a corridor between 2 breathing things. You're not a weapon, she said softly. Not for the auditorium, for the creature. You're a survivor trained to perform grief. The beast made the subharmonic click again, but higher now, like the idea of hope finding a grip. A crystalline cadet in row 3 began to vibrate, harmonic spilling, sorrow, translated into math. The Saurian sergeant's tail lashed once. His hand rested on the stun baton, a comfortable old decision. Commander, he warned. The Academy AI dinged an alert. Hesh couldn't ignore. Field stability. Anomalous feedback source. Human voice. Modulator recommended. Hesh swore under his breath. Mute the hall, he snapped. The AI obediently damped open mics by half. It didn't matter. The beast wasn't listening to the room. Cadet, Hesh said, not looking at her now, watching the numbers climb. You are compromising a controlled environment. Then control it better, Vel said. The handler bristled. The sergeant stepped closer, shadow swallowing her boots. Vel didn't step back. She didn't move at all. The mag bass under the cage chirped, a different tone. The handler frowned and consulted his slate. Sir, we've got a handshake request. Hesh didn't understand. From what? From the exhibit. Exhibits don't. Hesh caught the rest of his sentence as the numbers updated. The cage was trying to pair with a human neural profile. Target, Vel Maern. Request, loyalty protocol. Every doctrine Hesh had been paid to worship twitched. Deny, he said reflexively. The beast tried again, softer, like a knock at a nursery door. The AI flashed another hypothesis. Early bonding subroutine. Source, military. He froze. Military. Not feral, not wild. Engineered for allegiance, and left without a master long enough to learn the shape of loneliness. Vel's throat worked. Her voice was hoarse and steady. Who did they make you loyal to? The beast lowered its head until its brow touched the flickering lattice. It made the infant frequency click again, and added a new sound. 4 short pulses, 1 long. The AI translated without permission, because even machines get curious. Pattern worsos. Someone laughed again. Someone swore. Someone prayed in hive speak, the wet clicking kind that rattles molars. The sergeant lifted the stun baton, and didn't lower it. Vel breathed in, out. Commander, If the goal is to teach us control, then teach us the most difficult version, restraint. You presume a lesson I did not design. No, she said gently. I'm telling you the one you need. Hesh's mouth trembled like a pulled trigger. Then he looked at the screen no one else could see. The internal memo timestamped, 10 minutes after the cage left. Sublevel 9, do not initiate, pain protocol. If human voice contact produce, compliance, source, administration. He hated that he hadn't been told earlier. He hated that he was obeying orders someone else had written in a room he wasn't invited to. He hated the way the creature watched the girl like a pilgrim. The amphitheater doors sighed again. A woman walked in wearing a jacket, with too few insignia, and a gaze that made rank irrelevant. Administrator Kale Van, the kind of calm that terrifies. She did not look at Hesh. She looked at the beast, then at Vel, then at the portable mic the AI had tried to mute. Proceed, she said. One word. Commander Hesh shut his mouth so hard his teeth clicked. Vel took a single step down, not to the aisle, just enough that the amphitheater understood movement was possible. The beast's breathing hitched, then slowed to match hers. The handler whispered, "Sir, field stability is climbing." It's sinking to her respiration. She Surian Sergeant didn't whisper. "This is a trick," he said, voice like gravel poured slow. "I've seen Vorith rip a squad in half after purring for petting." "Then you haven't seen them grieve," Vel said. She wasn't looking at him. "How long did you keep it alone?" 2 cycles, the handler said before he could stop himself. 2, Vel repeated, as if the number had a taste and it was bitter. "And how often did you shock it for compliance?" Silence is an answer with sharp edges. Vel raised her hands higher, fingers spread in the oldest language. "I can't open your door," she told the creature. "But I can say your name." Hesh hissed. "It doesn't have." "It does," Vel said. "You took it." The beast pressed harder into the lattice, field crackling like ice. The AI leapt through lexicons, cross-referencing captive unit tags, early war lab designations, the way engineers joke in code. It spat a guess onto Hesh's private screen. Unit designator, L0, Lenyo, 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 old tongue, bind tie, possible, given name, Lenyo. Vel didn't see the screen. She moved by instinct, or memory, or something humans carry when they refuse to be taught what to fear. "Lenyo," she said softly. "Lenyo, I see you." The beast made the 4 short 1 long again, then a rising harmonic that thrummed bones. The field didn't weaken, it leaned in. The handler stirred. "It's not pushing the barrier," he breathed. "It's changing its output to stay under threshold. It's asking to be good," Vel whispered. "Enough," Commander Hesh snapped, "because an officer must draw a line somewhere to know he exists." Demonstration concluded. Security, remove the exhibit. Cadet Maran, detention pending review. Administrator Kale didn't raise her voice. "Denied." "On what grounds?" "On mine," she said, and only then did she look at him. "Sublevel 9 did not send you a weapon, Commander. They sent you a mirror." She turned to Vel. "Cadet Maran, can you maintain compliance?" "I can keep talking," Vel said. "If they stop hurting him." "Him," the sergeant repeated, like a new slur he might learn to enjoy. The AI pinged every wrist plate in the room. External, override request. Administrative authority, Kale. Venestrative, auth% for calibration. Hesh stared at the prompt, like a dare. The beast's eyes never left Vel's. Administrator Kale's did not blink. "Commander," she said, "approve it." The sergeant lifted the baton higher. The handler's thumb hovered over Dane. Vel took another breath, and the lights went out. The emergency strips blurred red along the tiers. The cage glowed white-blue where field met hide. Somewhere deep under sublevel 9, a relay tripped, and a choice became a cliff. A voice none of them recognized came through the academy intercom, warbling with distance. "Stand by for custodial transfer," it said. "Authorization, Obsidian."
The Saurian sergeant's tail went to stone. Hash's mouth opened and forgot the shape of orders. Administrator Kale looked at Vel like a test with only one correct answer, and no time left. The beast bowed its head to the lattice, and in the dark, begged without sound. Lenyo, Vel said, into the red. If they open the door. The intercom clicked once more, door opening in 3, 2, and every cadet in the room understood why some Tuesdays get remembered in history classes forever.
The beast's breathing filled the silence, deep, shuddering, restrained by steel and fear. Yet its eyes, golden and unblinking, never left her. Celine felt that stare like a weight, a wordless conversation passing between predator and prey. Only, she wasn't sure which one she was. Around her, the lecture hall was still in chaos. Cadets whispered, some leaning back as if the very air between them and the cage could snap into violence. The visiting alien dignitary, a pale, insectoid figure named Zaruth, stood with smug composure. This, Zaruth announced, tapping the side of the reinforced container, is the Torvak. Your records list it as an apex predator. It has hunted in 30 systems. No other species has captured one alive, except us. Observe and learn what fear looks like. The cage shuddered as the beast shifted. It was massive, all sinew and strange armor like scales, but there was an intelligence behind those eyes. Celine couldn't shake the feeling that it was thinking. Professor Kale glanced nervously between the alien guest and his human students. The Torvak is highly dangerous. No sudden movements, no eye contact. The beast let out a sound halfway between a growl and a sigh, low and resonant. Then, to everyone's shock, it lowered its head and pressed its claws together in front of its chest in a gesture so deliberate it silenced the entire hall. Celine's voice came out before she could stop it. It's asking. Excuse me. Zaruth's mandibles clicked. She stepped forward slowly, ignoring the murmurs. It's not threatening us. It's asking. It's begging. A ripple of disbelief swept through the alien visitors. Zaruth's tone sharpened. Human, your kind is not trained in Torvak behavior. This is submission before an attack. But Celine shook her head. No, that's not fear. That's recognition. She kept her gaze on the creature. You've seen me before, haven't you? The Torvak blinked once, slowly. The professor muttered something under his breath. This is absurd. The cage's electronic locks hissed, not because anyone pressed a button, but because the beast leaned forward, and the magnetic restraints disengaged. Everyone froze. 2 Saurian security guards raised their rifles. Stay back, one barked. Celine lifted her hand. Don't. The Torvak stepped out, each movement calculated and deliberate, ignoring everyone except her. The alien dignitaries moved aside instinctively, their confidence cracking. Celine, Professor Kale hissed, if you take one more step. She did, and the beast lowered itself until its massive head was level with her chest. It was the kind of motion an animal might make to allow a familiar hand to rest on it. Slowly, she reached forward and touched the warm, ridged surface of its skull. The entire hall went so quiet that even the hum of the artificial gravity felt loud. It's okay, she whispered. The Torvak made a deep, rumbling sound, almost relief, and then, to the astonishment of every non-human present, it spoke. Not in a language anyone recognized, but the station's translation AI chirped in confusion before producing a halting, rough voice. Safe, now. Gasps erupted around the room. Zaruth's insectoid frame stiffened. Impossible. The Torvak are incapable of speech. Celine frowned, still keeping her hand against the creature. Maybe yours are, but not this one. The translation AI flickered again. She freed me. Before, long ago. Remember, a cold wave rolled through her. Before, I've never met. Memory struck like lightning. A mission, a jungle moon, chains, a desperate cut through alien metal restraints as blaster fire rained down. She had freed a wounded beast, never expecting to see it again. Only, she had never told anyone about that mission. It had been erased from the official reports. The Torvak's gaze shifted to the alien guests. You cage what you fear, but you fear her more. The words hung in the air like a challenge. One of the Saurian guards took a step back. I think it's right. Zaruth's composure cracked, mandibles twitching. Enough. Return it to containment. This demonstration is over. No, Celine said quietly, and every eye turned to her. This isn't a demonstration, it's a warning. You brought this creature here to intimidate us. Instead, you've proven something else. She glanced around the hall, meeting the gaze of every cadet, human and alien alike. Fear doesn't always work the way you think it will. Sometimes it chooses a side. The Torvak straightened to its full height, towering over even the tallest Saurian, and positioned itself between Celine and the alien guests. No one moved to challenge it. Professor Kale exhaled, almost laughing in disbelief. Well, class, I think today's lesson just rewrote the textbook. Zaruth's voice was tight, dangerous. This changes nothing. Celine smiled faintly. It changes everything. The Torvak rumbled low, a sound that felt like a promise, and in that moment, Celine understood. The galaxy's most feared predator had just made her its ally.